Whether you're a Class 5 rafter or just looking for a couple of laughs, these two have you covered. Welcome to Aaron and Zach's Better Than Mediocre Rafting Show.
What's up, Aaron? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too, Zach. How's it going?
It's good. I'm happy to be here. You look fired up as usual.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready for this. Well, I was mostly fired up as you got me going with that great hat of yours. I mean, is that captain, or what does that mean? Is that like your, like, what is it, Commodore? Is it those little Commodore wings? You're definitely Commodore wings.
It's Admiral.
Admiral.
Is
Admiral higher than Commodore? Where's Commodore in there? Anyways?
I don't think Commodore's even real in the current Navy. There's Commander. But I think Commodore is sort of an old thing for like British ships or something. But Admiral is definitely the highest. Admiral's like a general.
So you think that's an Admiral's hat, basically?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Maybe you need to enlarge it so everyone can see this amazing hat you got on there.
That hat?
What does it say on it? Super Guide?
Yeah, living
the dream. Was that made specifically for you?
No.
Was that like a fan hat?
Okay. Do you know about Super Guide throw bags?
I think you've mentioned it before, actually.
They're pretty sweet. They're really sweet. The guy Franz who makes them is super cool. He hand does them all. It's one guy making them. You know, I think some people have ordered them, and maybe there can be quite a delay. So I recommend them as throw bags. I don't always recommend ordering them online because I think there's been mixed success with getting the throw bags, but they're great throw bags, and they're called Super Guide. I love the enthusiasm for Super Guide, and he also has a merch section. And I saw this hat, and it kind of has that Top Gun look. And so how much I like Top Gun and how much I like Super Guide. So I had to buy the hat.
You can get the little things on your shoulders for rafting. What are they called?
Epaulets.
Epaulets? Yeah, you can get those too.
No, I'm not going to get those because I'm usually wearing a t-shirt. It won't work.
Are you going to have your guides on the shirts they're wearing start having, like, depending on how good they are, they get more of the little stripes underneath or whatever?
I think if I could choose to have rafting be however I wanted, and there would be something like that where you like have little badges where you're like, oh, look, he's got a lot of badges. Oh man,
well, it'd be kind of nice to know, like, look at their shoulders, their when they walk up, to be able to look at their sleeve and be like, oh, okay, this person's legit. Like,
got my woofer, got my Swiftwater, got my IRF, whatever level. I have guided in different countries or whatever. Like, there's one for like guiding in 3 different countries. It'd be cool. I don't think
talking about like the little pins here, but then there's your rank over here. Like,
oh, so you want to have ranks too?
Class 3, Class 4, Class 5. Class 5 trip leader, Class 3 trip leader. You have like
based on your IRF cert.
Ooh, it could be based on your IRF cert. That's interesting. I mean, it could also be like, and you could have the company that gave it to you too. So you could be like, oh, you got that certification from Northwest. Oh, that's really good. Oh, you got that from like whatever.
It shouldn't matter. I know it matters, but it shouldn't matter. But almost like the unit you're in is the company you're with. So in the Army, you're in the 31st Airborne. You have a Northwest patch on one side, and then you have your like IRF cert on your right arm, and then you have your like different things like the Army. Yeah, I was in the Army and I was a Boy Scout, so yeah, I'd like these things, but I'm not going to suggest that we do that because I know that it's not going to work. Although some people would like it. I made patches for our guides, a lot of patches, and some of our guides.
I've gotten a couple of your patches. I have.
Yeah. I made like patches for cool trips or for like special things we do, or just I don't know. I like patches. So a lot of our guides put their patches on their PFDs and their bags, and so people like that stuff.
You don't have like an award ceremony at the end of the year where they all wear a sash with all their patches on.
There's no sash. There's no sash. But we do have special awards. We have one called the Golden D Ring, and I give the Golden D Ring away every so often.
Oh wow!
It's a special award for the guides who do all the work but don't look for the credit. Like they're the ones that are like setting up the hand wash. They take the toilet down. They just bust it out. They're not like, hey, I'm gonna go take the toilet, and everybody. They just do it. They just do all the little things, but aren't like making a big deal about it, and they're just getting things done quietly in the background. I give out the Golden D Ring to people like that.
So the golden D-ring, is it dipped in gold? What is it? You just spray paint it?
No, I don't want to tell you because it'll take away from the mystique. But it's an actual D ring, and the D ring is the color gold.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I don't want to give away the secret sauce.
All you have to, it is a gold D-ring, but it's purchased gold. It's not something you just spray painted on.
I bought the D-rings, and I sent them to Sotar and said, make the patch around these rings so they're actual golden D-rings. So you actually get the whole D-ring. You get the thing that goes on the boat and the ring in there that's golden. And I think it even said, I haven't looked at them for a while because I forgot that I gave away this award. So I haven't given away one for like 5 years. I just remember now I got to give some golden D-rings away. But it even has like stuff on there that says like for excellence as a river guide. It even has like stuff written on the award.
Here's the question: if I actually glued that on a boat, would it just fail first time I tried this?
It would work. No, it's a real D-ring. No, it's a real. I mean,
it would. It just breaks. You're like, oh yeah.
It would. It would fail if you put it on a hypalon boat. Yes, but if it's a real actual D-ring you could really put on a boat and it would really work. Like if you glued it on a boat, Aaron, it would come off.
The whole thing.
If a competent guide,
if someone who was given that as an award, it would stay on. If I stole one and tried to glue it on, it wouldn't work.
No. Anybody can glue it on. You just have to have the repair skills to do it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I would never be given one. I would never earn one, so I'd have to steal one. And then if I
definitely wouldn't get one. You're not the guy in the background setting up the hand wash. You're the one up in front of all the guests who are like, you're telling stories and you're telling us what to do. You get,
and I'll be like, hey, look at me do all this work, you guys.
Yeah.
While everyone else
hey, guests, I'd love to come talk to you, but I have to go over there and check the quality of how the guide set up the hand wash. But I'll be back in a minute to entertain you guys once I've inspected the guides.
Yes.
You get the opposite award. I don't know what it is. There's no golden D-ring coming your way, Aaron. I'll tell you that for sure.
Oh,
hey, let's introduce.
Maybe a little pedestal to stand on in camp.
the Napoleon. There's like a Napoleon award, and it's a pedestal.
Yeah, there you go.
You get like a uniform like Napoleon with all the badges we talked about.
Okay.
All right, we should start the show. Sorry, everybody, for the banter. This is Aaron and Zach's entitled and naive rafting show, and we do this every Friday at 2 p.m. On YouTube, and it's live, and we'd love to have your comments. Oh, there are already some comments. That's cool. And it's also now a podcast. And a lot of you said, hey, can we get this in audio form? And I'm like, yeah, I'll look into it. Well, we also had a podcast called the River Talk Podcast, which we did for like a year or more. We did like 100 episodes. But I was with my friends Eric and Priscilla, and they're just busy people, and scheduling the podcast was almost impossible. So what I had is the infrastructure of the podcast. And so now I'm just taking the audio from this show and making that the podcast. So if you're listening to this through River Talk Podcast, that's what you're getting. And this is intended as a live video show. So if you're listening to it, cool, but you're going to miss out on what we're watching. And so you may just like the audio and want to hear the banter. Cool. But if you want to see some of the videos or things we show, you're going to have to watch it on YouTube. Does that sound good?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so don't get it set with if you're just listening. You're like, dude, you need to show it more. Like, yeah, well, that's not the.
We have it. You chose to watch it, and you're choosing to watch it as a listen to it as a podcast by listening to a podcast. There is a live video we're doing now, and there's also a recording of the video you can watch on the Gear Garage channel afterwards.
Yeah, we need to work on this little new intro, but
hey, no, this is the long intro because it's the first time. From now on, we'll just keep it.
We'll figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. So we got a new member, which is all Andrew. Thank you. It's always, man. That means a lot. So
it does.
It's appreciated. And then Justin, member too. Man, we're getting there, man. Wow, this is incredible.
Justin, what is he a member? Oh yeah,
he's got the little sign next to it.
Yep. Thanks, Justin. Hey, so you have to have a logbook. So to do the IRF training, you have to show that you're an experienced guide. And so I think the point of the logbook is to say, I've actually been a guide, because we don't want people in the course that haven't been a guide. They would distract from everybody else. And so the point of the logbook is to prove that you have experience as a commercial guide. And so if you don't have it, just get one. Like you can you hopefully can figure out the trips you've done commercially.
Yeah, I think, Justin, the one thing is you don't have to do like, if you work day stretch and you worked it like whatever all summer, you don't need to put like every day in your logbook versus like,
Yeah,
yeah, hey, from
wink,
I-
wink. You do wink, wink. Officially, you
really?
do, IRF instructor Aaron. Wink, wink.
Yeah, that's
Just
what I'm.
Justin.
But I would put it this way, Justin. Like in mine, I don't have every date written down there because it's ridiculous after so many years. So I have like, okay, I worked this many trips this summer, this many 1-day trips and these flows, these conditions, and so just kind of summarize certain things because otherwise, yeah, you'd be like, oh, here's my book, and then they're like, it's not very useful for people as instructors to look at it and to get an idea of what they've done.
Guides should be keeping like a Excel spreadsheet log of their trips. I know they're not, but they should.
Let's see yours,
no.
Zach.
I mean,
I can bring mine up. I do have a sheet with mine on there, but it's not in that format. It's just.
I have access to my company's records. I can just do a search by name, and I can provide this for any one of my guides. I can do a database search and say, boom, print out the information, and I can send any.
Does your blog include all your Tuolumne trips?
No,
Does it include your private trips on other rivers?
But private trips for IRF doesn't matter.
I guess that's true.
Like it's commercial experience. So if you showed me a bunch of private trips, I'd be like, cool, go take a different course. We want to, like for IRF, we want to see commercial experience. So when I was guiding the Tuolumne, I do have a logbook from back then that I was keeping track of that stuff. So I do have an old logbook from like the early 2000s. And I didn't do it for a long time. And then all my echo trips I have. And so even if you document, you just have to document enough trips to show your experience. And Justin, I think the key is we just want to make sure that you have enough commercial experience to be in the course. And so if you can prove that, we'll figure it out.
Going back to what I said before, if you're doing day trips, okay, this many trips this year, this many trips this year. And so it's, but then if you've got it for 15 years, I mean, that's even like a lot of lines for it, but yeah, you're not going to have every single day that you've done it.
And it could technically just be a letter from your boss saying, hey, so-and-so's a guide. They've done a bazillion days. Trust me, this person's good. It could really be that, but best practice is to have your logbook. And that's what as an IRF instructor, I'm going to urge everybody to have a logbook.
Zach, I'm going to say this. So I think for private trips, I really wish I had done a better job with my logbook, more so than on commercials. Because the commercial rivers you worked it enough that like, I'm not going to forget what the Tuolumne is like at 5,000 or 10,000 or 8,000. Like I've done it a lot, but then I go like, oh, when I did the South Fork of the Salmon, how high was that trip? What was the flow we put on? I don't remember all that stuff, and trying to figure it out and recall what it is. And you want to go do it again. You knew it was high, but how high? Or someone else is asking you about it and you're trying to give them information. So that's something I regretted a little bit, is on some of those more random trips that I only do once, not taking better notes on it. So I have them for future reference.
I think we'd all like logbooks. I'm bad at journaling or whatever. So I'm not going to be the best at it, but yeah, of course. But in the case of IRF, you should have it. So we give all of our guests a patch based on the rivers. We have a rogue patch, a Middle Fork patch, a salmon patch, a Wahi patch, a Bhutan patch, because I like patches. Is that the award Aaron would get? The Tom.
Oh yeah, Tom Sawyer award. Yeah, that would be my award, the Tom Sawyer award for sure. I love Tom Sawyer. He's like my favorite character. Get someone else to paint the fence for you, of course. That's like your goal as a rafting guide. Hey guys, this is really fun. Let's carry this heavy gear up the beach. Hey everyone, let's do this for fun too.
Yeah, I mean that's a classic Aaron, right? Like while we're setting the kitchen up, carrying heavy stuff, you're with the guests. You're like, okay, so I'm going to talk about
no,
an hour while the guides set camp up. That's the Tom Sawyer award.
Yeah, no, you're missing it. When I play Tom Sawyer, it's to get all the guests to carry all the gear up. That's the purpose.
Oh, got it.
So I'm taking care of the guides as well. But anyways, that's nice to hear. Cool.
Yeah, Logan. One cool thing. Yeah, I think that people would like the audio form. The one thing I learned is if you get YouTube Premium, which I got because that way when we do the show and I show a YouTube video, there aren't ads every time. It's like $10 a month. you can listen to the audio of anything on YouTube without having the app open. I don't know if that makes sense, but like once I got YouTube Premium, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. All YouTube shows are like podcasts now. So just a little hack. It's $10 a month or something, so it's not cheap, but YouTube Premium without the ads is kind of nice. Anyway,
right.
let's get started with the show. What do you think? I got a couple things for you, Aaron.
Oh boy. Did you buy some? Do you buy some new channel locks?
I did. Hold on.
Jeez.
You haven't? I think I got. Hold on. Let me go back to this now. I think this is it. I haven't shown you these ones yet.
No, those look actually. That's about the size of the ones I have. Those are a little smaller than the ones that I carry, but they look lighter, and yeah, that looks great. That's actually
a nice size.
Yeah,
it'll do the job. It's not super heavy, and so I got these for my repair kit, for my like private boater repair kit.
Yeah.
So it's like small. I don't have to have it's just less weight to carry around.
Zach, you got to get us the specific size of those, because like you found, it's hard to, like when you look online, it's hard to know which is the right size.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get a ruler out.
Oh,
these are 6 inches long.
Okay, is that when you bought it? They're like the 6-inch.
Yeah, let's just say that. Close.
Oh,
it's close enough.
Oh boy.
But I would put these in my PFD if I was teaching a lot and having to adjust frames a lot. These aren't that heavy. They're not going to rust. They're the Nipex ones. Anyways, I did get some new channel locks. So thanks for asking. Okay, so let's go back to what I was going to talk about. So I have some video for you, Aaron. And I'm just going to start with this because I've been teaching this week and I took this cool drone footage. I just think it's cool. And if I didn't share it with anybody, it would just get wasted. And so do you see me in the gray boat right there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the gray boat. Nice line, huh?
I remember this rapid.
Yeah, this is S-turn on the East Fork of the Hood.
Yeah.
And my student, our boat spacing was off a little bit, but here she comes. But see how I'm waiting in the eddy? I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but you're drifting a little bit, which isn't bad. Yep. You're just going slow.
I'm just like I'm not stopping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just catching an eddy line, waiting, getting visual, pulling to slow down so that you can see my line. Although we did scout it, but so I have good visual.
Yeah, what's nice about the way you're doing that too, Zach, is if you have like 8 boats or something like that in a row, each person can slow down, and there's not like catching eddies and then trying to pull back out around people and get around it. You can just maintain your boat order and keep going down.
If I had fully caught the eddy, the timing of getting out in front of her is a little tricky, where I was just dragging the eddy line. And my spacing was probably a little bit too much. It probably should have been closer, but I felt good about it at the time.
And this pool drop and pretty...
I mean, not really. See how it goes around there's a little pool at the bottom, but it quickly goes around the corner.
Does it?
Like if you swam there, you could get to shore here, but if you didn't, it goes. So we did talk about that quite a bit. Like, hey, if you do swim, here's what happens. I want to get to this. So this is next. This is the video I want to talk about. I've been thinking a lot about our talk lately about a rowing progression. Remember that a couple weeks ago we talked about rowing progression? And I wanted to bring it up again this week and have the progression for you, like write it out, but I didn't have time to get it done. But I really like what you said about teaching about oar management and safety really early on. And so I've taught a couple classes since then, and I've been teaching that super early, like right off the bat. And it's been really effective. I'm just like, and the things I'm saying is I talk a lot about downstream oar, and you have responsibility to like be really careful with downstream oar. I'm like, you shouldn't use it, but if you do, you have to be very sparingly, and it will depend on flow a little bit. I talk a lot early about you don't want the oar pointing towards you, as you want to minimize it pointing towards you, because it can hurt you. And then I talk about we're really going to work on proper shipping, like hands back, blades forward. And I know the handle passes your body, but you want that to happen quickly, and blades forward shipping, because if you pull them across your chest or push them down, they can hit things and that can hurt you. And I've been teaching it early, and it's been amazing. It's really good. So I've moved that way up in my teaching progression. So first I want to say, you were right. And thank you. That was really nice. I appreciate it. But the other thing I've been teaching early too for a long time, and it finally paid off, is having people be able to tie a 2-point self-equalizing anchor. And I feel like people don't learn that until a swiftwater rescue class, right? You wouldn't just learn that as part of your boating curriculum, but it's been important to me because if you are on a boat by yourself and you get stuck, you need to have the stuff you need to do a 2-point equalizing anchor and be able to do it. Right? Like that's as a boater, as just a person who boats, I feel like part of your education curriculum is that 2-point self-equalizing anchor, because no swiftwater expert on shore can do that for you. Right? They can't explain how to do it. There's no hand signals for how to do it. And you have to have the stuff because getting the webbing and the carabiner to you is really hard. You with me on this?
Definitely. So when are you, like if you're teaching a beginning rowing course, like a course on the Rogue, when would you introduce that then?
We'd probably do it sometime during the class, like day 3 or 4 or 5. We've been doing it for years.
But you're not saying to do it before you even get on the water. That's not.
No. There's so much to cover on a multi-day course. I think it's a skill they need to learn as beginners, but they don't need to learn it day one. But in my private instruction, I'm doing it morning one with everybody because nobody knows it. Like it's for everybody. It's education. I'm like, hey, let's take 20 minutes and we're going to go through this and we're going to make you set up a couple times. And I practice outside the boat, right? Like, you learn this stuff. You're like outside the boat doing it in technically the water. And then I want you to practice it while you're inside the boat. Because tying it, it's really easy to visualize and do when you're like standing on ground outside the boat. It's harder to do visually from inside the boat. And so on day one, morning one of all the private classes I do, it's just a thing I do. Hey, I want to cover this. You probably haven't learned it or you have, but I want to make sure you can do it. And it's never paid off until yesterday. And
before we go jump to the video,
a
couple of things. Yeah, you said a lot. First, I wanted to go back to your thing about the rowing stuff.
Yeah,
about teaching that first. I think a lot of people who watch the show, they own their own rafts and they take friends boating. And I think whenever I let anyone row my boat, even if I'm not like teaching them to row, but just like some guest wants to hop back or a friend wants to hop back, I tell them those basic things about safety right away. I don't even tell them how to row the boat. I just say, hey, these are the dangerous parts. Go ahead, get up there now and go for it, and mess around with the oars a little bit. So I think that's like, take that out of the context of even like you're really teaching rowing, just like, hey, you're just letting someone row your boat for a minute or two. It's good that they know that stuff. But anyways, that was on that thing. Moving forward on this, do you have, I think that's a great idea. And what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I'm excited to see what happens in the video. I am. In that online course you have, do you have a video about how to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Have you thought about just sending it to your students for this course beforehand, being like, hey,
yeah, they're not going to do it at home.
Just let them know, hey, this is something we're going to go over at the beginning. So if you're just to give you heads up, we'll go over this at the beginning. But if you have time and want to do it beforehand,
they're not going to. If I was to give them something to do ahead of time, it would be to talk. We do give them videos. We talk about ferries and eddies ahead of time because those are like longer lectures we can maybe skip, right? Like, hey, you can hear me talk about it in my best I've ever done for the video, or you can hear me do like another time doing it in person. So the videos I send are typically catching eddies and ferrying, where they're not going to practice this one at home. But if I was to send them something else, it would be tying water knot, figure eight on a bite, and bowling. Because we spend a lot of time on those knots. That's good. So that we do send more and more videos nowadays. But I also have Gear Garage on all this stuff. We've done Gear Garage on 2-point anchors, all the things. Are you done?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Hey, by the way, we're doing a poll right now, Aaron. It's who is usually right, Zach, Aaron, or Dougie Fresh? And we have 10 votes. Who do you think's winning, Aaron?
Dougie Fresh.
He's not.
Am I winning?
You're winning. Wait, what? Wait, there's no chance I'm winning?
No, I know. It's either Dougie or me. Everyone likes Dougie. So I guess Dougie hasn't been on enough for him to get enough votes because a lot of people don't even know who he is, probably.
Yeah.
So that's like that gives us the advantage there. Are you beating Dougie or is Dougie beating you? That's
Me
the
and Dougie
question.
are tied. Oh, I just passed Dougie. I got one more vote. Oh, now you and I are tied. It's 36%. Oh, now whoa, it's a 3-way tie between all three of us.
Oh, people
Dougie's
are
catching up.
yeah. No
Now,
one's
now that I
listening.
mentioned it, it's moving up. It's a
Can
3-way
people
tie.
vote multiple times?
I don't think so.
They
Okay,
could probably,
so
like you could probably open an incognito window and just keep voting.
oh Jesus, come on, Aaron. No, anyway, let's move on. I don't think you can because you have to be logged in probably. But so this is from yesterday. I was teaching a class and it's pretty continuous as you can see. And what you can't see here is that there's a really nasty tree on river left. And so I'm like, go right, go right, go right. And she went right, but it caused her to get stuck on this rock. Right. And I was downstream. It's continuous. So I had to like pull over and walk back up. And while I was walking back up, she was just doing this. She was just like, it was awesome. She was just putting her 2-point anchor in. Turn the volume down. I'm pretty stoked. And so, she'd practiced it on shore. She'd practiced it in the boat. And that's 30 feet of webbing. So it's making really nice.
That's like a huge piece of webbing. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually keep 30 footers because
really,
yeah. I mean, it makes a nice angle and you can cut it in half and have 2 15s if you need.
That looks crazy long.
Yeah. Don't you want to minimize the angle?
Well,
Aaron, don't you like physics?
Zach, you know my answer to that is
you get caught up in all that webbing.
Don't use the webbing in a rope from shore. First
Jesus.
of all,
do you think
second
really?
Of all, if
hold on.
Just go around the tube.
Wait, you really think she's going to go around the tube here?
Yeah, she totally could.
No, it should be freezing.
No. Just go like by the rock side on the rock side. What? She might not have long enough arms. Actually.
And it's like really cold.
You can just reach underneath on the.
All right, whatever. I should have taught her that trick, but whatever. Anyway, so she did it. I'm really excited. I wish I could have videoed the whole thing because then I threw her a throw bag. She caught it. We had just done throw bag practice just like an hour before too, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then I walked upstream and pulled the far end up at 45 degrees ish, and it came off no problem. It was awesome. It's so cool when you can teach these things. It's the first time because usually people like in my class and they're like, why is that? I want to learn to row. I don't want to learn how to tie knots and do things. And sometimes I feel that pressure, like because there's things people want to learn, and there's things I feel like are important to teach, and those things don't always align.
Oh, totally.
So I do put people through certain things. I'm like, you need to learn all these things in addition to your rowing technique, whether you want it or not. Like I call it your Brussels sprouts and your cauliflower.
Broccoli, yeah.
Yeah. Although people like broccoli nowadays, so I say cauliflower. But yeah, I mean it's like eating your veggies, and they don't want to eat the veggies. I'm like, you're gonna eat your veggies, and finally eating the veggies paid off. I was pretty excited about it.
No, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yep. So man, we have lots of notes here.
Yep.
Let's get to some of these comments. I'll go back to this view. Where am I at? Teaching oars is like teaching guests about tigger. Yeah. It's a great point.
Exactly.
It's a great point. I think a basic rock climbing anchors video should be taught. I mean, rock climbing anchors video. I don't know what that means exactly. Rock climbing anchors, if you're a rock climber, yeah. But for boating, I mean, most anchors are just wrapping some webbing around a tree or a rock. And like in this example, we didn't even use an anchor. I just pulled on a rock. I mean, I just pulled on the rope. I didn't need a land anchor.
I think, Josh, you're right in one way. I think that like the rock climbers in general, and you're just like, maybe that style of instruction with the video would be good. And like rock climbers usually do well with this stuff. They're usually pretty good at it. It's easy to teach them. Like I teach a lot of classes at the college, and most of them have taken rock climbing classes. And the knot part is just so easy with them because they've done a bunch of knots and done them. That's the cool thing about rock climbing too, is you just do knots over and over and over and over again. So you're tying them a ton versus with us. I tie my raft off the shore over and over again. Unfortunately, half hitches isn't what I'm using as a safety knot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the rock climbing anchors are kind of complicated, and they're like a one directional pull. Mm-hmm. They're not, let's pull here, let's pull here, let's pull here. What's that called again? That's self-equalizing or self-directional?
Yep. Self-equalizing, you got it.
Yeah, they're like, we're repelling this way, and we're having a fixed direction anchor. we're in boating, we do all these self-equalizing anchors so we can change the angle of our pole. So I think I understand what you're saying, Josh, and maybe I disagree a little bit. Using fixed and focused. Yeah, that's exactly like what Rick, exactly. Like, I think what happens, this is my theory. A lot of swiftwater rescue, we've talked about this a million times. They're so focused on land-based techniques. And then they take their we're gonna their crevasse rescue technique that they learn, or some other technique they use in firefighting, and they apply that to swiftwater rescue, and then they teach that, but they're not boaters, right, Aaron?
Yeah. I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, who was teaching your class? I'm guessing a firefighter. That was my thought, a land-based person. Yeah.
I never vote for Zach. What? Just because? Why are my reactions funny?
Because you get all pouty. Yeah, it is funny.
You are crushing me now. Like the voting's changed. You now have a strong lead. Wait, so people are not going to vote for me because they want to see me get pouty?
Yeah, I think so. They enjoy seeing you pouty.
Do I really get pouty? I'm about to get pouty.
In a funny way.
Got it. Pre-equalized anchor is not the best. Boat flexes and moves. What's a limited magic X? Is that a thing?
Okay, I'm looking it up.
Pre-equalized and self-equalized. Huh. Okay. Sometimes. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Those are like, there's the Magic X playing cards. That's the one thing I could find.
Ooh.
Zach, you like that part.
I don't know, Josh. Did you find it, Aaron?
I just Googled limited Magic X and it brought playing cards. So that was it. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm gonna give another opinion, and you can agree or disagree with me, whatever you want. There's a lot of really cool techniques for rescue that we could be doing that are better than what we do now. Like, there's a bunch of them. Like, I fully admit there's probably better knots, there's better anchors, there's better this, there's better that. But I think more important than doing things that are a little bit better are doing things that are consistent among everybody and everybody understands and uses. So although your technique is maybe 20% better, if you're the only one who knows how to do that technique on the team, it's going to be ineffective because everybody else is going to be like, I've never learned this. What are you doing? And so I feel like keeping things pretty simple. Like, if we all generally use the same anchors and rope systems that are commonly taught in classes and are in books and we've been using since time began, I think that's really smart. And so, and just keeping things pretty simple and digestible.
So you're basically saying everyone just needs to do the way Zach does it because you know how to do it that way, and you don't.
It's not the way I do it.
Another way. Yes,
it's the way that we all do it. We have all learned 2-point self-equalizing anchors. We've all learned how to do wrap 3, pull 2, or just throw in the rope around as an anchor. We've all learned the 3-to-1. If I go out there and say, "Hey guys, no, we're doing a pig rig today," it's like, oh, geez, great. You know what I mean? Like, a few of you have learned the pig rig.
I feel like I did it at one point.
Why am I going to do I get that it's a 4-to-1 and a Z rig is a 3-to-1, but like, let's just do the thing people know and not get too like weird on us. And I've taught classes where there's always some, there's a rescue, it's always like a glacier rescue person. And they're like, oh no, do this instead, do this. And they like freak out. Like, our stuff's way better. I'm like, no, I get that it's better. I get it. But you're introducing techniques that are going to confuse everybody. And it's going to make the situation worse.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, Zach.
Magic X is the self.
Yeah. I just looked it up. Yeah, so it's a self. I'm not sure. There's videos on it, and we have to watch the video. But we could watch the video. I could bring up one right now. We could watch it and talk about it if you want.
Sure.
Zach.
I mean, right. we have a little bit of time.
Okay.
Is it the same one we always do, or is it some new thing?
I don't know. I haven't watched the video on it, so I don't know even what we're going to be seeing here. I just pulled it up.
Make sure it's not R-rated first.
Yeah, let me get past.
Aaron, you are crushing in the poll all of a sudden. You're really pulling away. Dougie and I are tied for second, and I could lose behind Dougie here real quick.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you lost. Okay, man. Here we go. Share screen.
Just for the record, Aaron is not usually right. That's just a fact, but you guys can keep voting for him.
Oh, man. Here we go. All right. If I go full screen, does it make
Do that.
full screen?
It should. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
do this.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't listen to him. We'll just see what he ties. So, anyways, while we're waiting for him to tie, maybe we can fast forward this. Okay.
Isn't that just what we do? That's just what we do. That's just a regular anchor.
Let's hold on. I don't think he's done with it because he said Magic X. Yeah, he's tying a knot in it. See? Here.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. What?
The last one he showed looked like a Magic X because it made an X. Why? Okay. As soon as
they put knots in it so that if one blows out. Yeah, interesting. But can't you just flip it around too? Can't you do the little flip thing?
What this would do? How those knots just move? What just looks like he moved the knots.
He loosened up and slid it down. Exactly.
But I mean, the advantage of this is it won't go as far when it if you're climbing, the leader fall won't be as big. Yeah. So I think the way we do it with the spin, if you're doing a leader fall climbing, that would be a major bummer. It's a lot bigger leader fall. Whereas we're rafting, we're not worried about how long our leader fall is.
Well, and you're gonna load. You're gonna probably put more load because you're accelerating, right? When you go down, you're gonna load it more because you have more fall, so you're actually going faster.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Stop share.
So if what we're looking at here is the Magic X, I'm not a fan, and for two reasons. For just one reason, it's just more complicated. Let's just keep it simple. Do
you think everyone's going to remember to do the spin though?
Yeah. And even if you don't do the spin, it's not the end of the world. Because so when you look at let's say a D-ring pops, the D-ring probably won't fit in the carabiner. So the reason you put the spin is do I have to explain this?
It'll fit through. The D-ring will fit through. If the D-ring pops out, if the D-ring and the material pops out, you're right.
It can.
If it's the material and the D-ring.
If it's just the ring itself, the ring will fit through. But if it's
the ring, I'm going to say I've seen that on Sotars almost always it's just the ring. On the Avons, it's the ring and the material more often.
I've only seen Hypalon D-rings pop. I've never seen urethane D-ring pop.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the urethane. It just pulls the D-ring out, the metal part out.
That's true. So, I think remembering to do the spin is easier than tying a bunch of knots in weird places. And so it's the standard. Again, this Magic X might be 10% better. Let's just say theoretically it is. I don't think it is, but let's say it is. Is it worth making everybody everywhere learn a new thing, which you're not going to be able to do? Or let's just keep it consistent and simple, because as boaters, we're not people who are training on this stuff all the time. We're learning it, practicing a little bit. We're not experts. We're not super nerdy watching videos all the time about anchors. We're people who boat, who have to do this once in a while. Let's keep this as simple as we possibly can.
Yeah. And Zach, I think the difference, you're right. And the difference is rock climbers, they'll tie that knot over and over and over again one day. They'll tie that numerous times within a day. And every time they go out, they're going to be tying that knot. Versus for us, we'll go months and sometimes even years without tying one of those knots. So,
yeah, knots in the rope are the biggest. It also weakens the rope too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's a great point. Aaron loves the tube method because he hates D-rings. That's why you're not getting a golden D-ring, Aaron. You hate D-rings.
I don't want it. I'm thrilled that I'm not going to be given a golden D-ring. That's fabulous. I'm happy to hear it. I don't need it. It's just waste. What am I going to do with it? How is that helping me?
The Magic X is the twist. Okay, so I think I get what's happening. I think the knot is just I think the twist is the X.
Oh.
And then the knots are just fancy things climbers do. So going back to the original comment here, Josh. Yeah, I don't know what a limited Magic X is, but I think that's what we all do. I think that's the standard thing, right? The flip and the rope, yeah, cool. Thank you everybody for educating us. We're slowly catching on here. The self, you can always progress from that to tie a self-equalizing anchor with limiter knots. If you rescue Ron, that's a new one to me. Yeah, this is the thing to me. What's interesting, I've been teaching lately. I learned this thing. So, what are you laughing at, Aaron?
Something else random here. Let's go. I'm curious here if this is something like standard or is this something off the wall?
No. So, when you tie the webbing through the 2 D-rings and make their first loop before you pull it in.
Yeah.
So when you pull just the one strand and it goes from here, D-ring over.
Yeah.
Climbers call that the American Death Triangle.
Yeah.
I love that name. So like when I teach, I'm like, all right, we just tied the American Death Triangle. And all we need to do to turn this into an anchor is take this and pull it up and bring it in. And I love that term, American Death Triangle. It makes it more fun for me.
Now, Zach, that person who was stuck earlier, I mean, what we used to do with something like that is we would just take the bag. Like I would throw the bag you would throw the bag from me from shore, right? I'd grab the bag and then I'd basically all the line would be out of the bag, right? And so I'd take a bite of rope at the end of it and I just wrap it around my my frame like 3 times. Actually, your frame wouldn't work as well. It's the ones with a little round up part on it, where it has the round, like the stern mounts have that little piece of metal frame that comes up. And just wrap it around there like 3 times, and then you just hold it with friction, and they can pull you off, and you just let go of it. They pull it to shore, and you row downstream.
Aaron, that sounds complicated to me, and
it
sounds
hard.
Very
simple.
No, I get it.
Complicated.
No, I get it. Like I think most people watching the show are astute enough to get it, but teaching that to somebody who's new, it's kind of like I don't know, like it's hard to understand. I think like the application and what it's for. Like, hey, if you have a raft frame, what I want you to do is make a bite and then wrap it around a bunch of times. And then what? What do you do with it?
Just hold the end and just hold it. And then once they put you on, let go of it, and it should just like
again, super smart. I get it, but I think you're making like it's better. It's 10% better, 20% better, whatever you want it to be. It just adds another complicated.
It's less. You never have to. You have
what if you don't have a frame? And what if you don't have a frame?
Well, you're not going to wrap that bed if you don't have a frame.
You're not going to what?
You're going to have all those people on the rock. Just push the boat over. I mean, how many times have I needed a frame, a rope from shore for a paddle boat?
You sometimes, Aaron, that's not a good answer.
No, you never do.
No. Hey, ever. since I never need a rope with a paddle boat, means nobody should learn the proper technique. Let's learn this other new technique that nobody else has ever learned, to introduce it and make us all do it. By the way, as this conversation's going, you're usually right.
I'm going down.
You're going up. You're going through the roof. Dougie and I are even more wrong.
I thought that would kill me a little. I'm like, oh, I'm losing my lead.
You're at 50%. Aaron and I or Dougie and I are both at 25 to each. You're more right than Aaron, Dougie and I you're as right as Dougie and I combined are right.
I bet someone's like wrote a little software program real quick or something to make the voting happen, to make it look like I'm way better.
I don't. I mean, you already suggested they do it with the incognito window. You already told them how to cheat. But Aaron, I want to point out one thing here. If I had just attached it to she had just done it to the frame, at this point, I would have probably had to pull it against the face of the rock, which is just like against the friction of the rock.
Agreed.
What I wanted to do is an anchor on the far end and pull it and pivot it off. So like your cute little wrapping around the thing, if it limits where you can attach the rope to, and you want to try different attachment points.
I'm laughing about comments. Todd,
hold on. Where are we here?
Todd's.
Well, no. This is why you're getting votes, Aaron. When have you ever pulled off 2 D-rings at once?
No, not one. You pull off one, then you pull off the next one.
Once you pull off one, then the whole system kind of fails. You have to start over again.
Mm-hmm.
How often? How many times, Aaron, have you used D-rings to attach to a boat to pull? Just guess how many times.
Say it again.
How many times have you attached a rope to a D-ring and pulled on it to get a boat unstuck or unwrapped? How many times?
One D-ring or multiple D-rings?
Just D-rings, period.
Very,
How many times have you?
very few. Very, very, very few.
Less than 10?
Probably less than 10.
Okay, I'm probably more than 50.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. Yeah, and
Well, do you always go around the tube?
What?
Do you always go around the tube?
Like go around the tube, go to the frame. I rarely go to the D-rings. It's a pain. The D-ring. The problem is the D-rings are usually so either they're not in the spot where you want to pull from, or they're too spaced out. It's just like it never really works that way. You can't access them well. It's like they're old.
That's why you put a lot of D-rings.
The D-rings are all scraped up because they've gone through rocks so many times. You're like, I don't think that material is even going to hold up.
Like you and I live in a different world. Like I'm around boats that have D-rings, and there's a lot of them, so it gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, because you glue them like permanently all the way around your boat. So
I do put a lot of them on boats for this reason.
I just don't use ropes from shore, Zach.
Okay. You just use the force and magic, and you're like, hey, just deflate some tubes. This thing will just nicely come off and be good. Whatever.
75. 2 out of 75 needed ropes from shore.
D-rings.
And neither of those. I don't think either of those we set up.
No, you're.
We didn't go to D-rings on either of those either. We went around the tubes on those two.
Yeah, no, you have a gift. You're like the rap whisperer.
No, it's not though, because like people I've taught in general aren't using lines from shore either. Like when I started teaching, they did a lot better because that's just like
Aaron, even here, this boat isn't wrapped; it's just stuck.
I know.
What are you gonna deflate tubes to get this unstuck?
No, but I always say I've used ropes.
Aaron, what are you gonna? What would you do here?
Hold on, Zach. I've used ropes for shore way more often for perches than for reps. I'll say that. Way more.
So you're saying that's less than 10 times?
No, you asked going to the D-rings. When I use them for perches, I don't go to the D-rings. I usually go to the frame. Because it's usually an oar boat. If it's a paddle boat, you can just you're perched. It's like when you're stuck on a rock. When you're stuck on a rock and you're spinning around, and you can't get off. It's like that type of thing. You're like, dude, I'm just stuck here, and you're just like spinning. You can't gain traction. That's where I've used it more.
Man, I
go to the frame but then I just don't go to D-rings. I just don't trust D-rings. I've seen them blow up too many times.
So I've attached to D-rings all the time. I've only seen it happen twice. D-rings blow off twice. And both times were when we were pulling on a D-ring and it was only attached to one D-ring. I think I have seen us attach it to and I have seen it where we have attached it to and one's blown on like an old Avon.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's old, they're going to come off. And that was us just doing like way too much. I wouldn't pull that hard again on a boat anyway. That time was pretty bad. But like attaching it to D-rings, I think in the modern era of boats, I think, Todd, I'm going to disagree with you, is pretty solid. You're not going to pull them both off at once. But if you pull 2 D-rings with a nice low angle, like you have a lot of webbing, and you don't pull like ridiculously hard, you're going to be fine. I'm going to go on a limb and say you're going to be fine. Which reminds me of another thing, Aaron. Do you remember Mark's rule of 12?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about his rule of 12. So his rule of 12 is you never apply more than 12 person power to pulling. So if you're doing a 3-to-1, you can only use 4 people pulling.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do a 2-to-1, you can only use 6 people pulling. If you can do a 4-to-1 and have 3 people, so you should only use 12 power, and that makes sense to limit it no matter what you're doing. But I think that's a pretty conservative number. I'm gonna start. I think that a realistic number is a rule of 18.
Well, Zach, what I'm gonna say this on our show sometime. I think we need to get an old boat out, and you can get one of your load measures. And we can see how much load it takes to pop off a couple of different D-rings.
Oh no, dude! There's a video of them doing this.
What's the load? How much did it take? And what kind
a lot.
At what angle were they pulling on the D-rings?
Were
they pulling straight off? Were they pulling at an angle? Was it Sotar D-rings? Was it Avon D-ring? Was it whatever.
Oh, so you don't just want it to happen once. You want every possible D-ring of all time.
No, I think there's some key variables though. There is like if you're pulling straight out or you're pulling angled. I think those are key things because a lot of times that's one of the problems with the D-rings too. A lot of times, like you look at the angle and you're pulling on it, you're like janking it and you're turning it and twisting it just the way you're pulling, and so it's putting a lot of stress. So,
I mean, how you pull on the D-rings does matter, because there's some.
Who's WRS? What is WRS?
Lawrence Harris. This is a buddy, one of Mark Hurst's buddies. I guess Mark Hurst went like high school with him. He used to guide with this guy.
Yeah, but my question is, what type of craft is this?
Hey, just chill out for a second, dude. You are a little too fired up right now.
No, I'm not, Zach. Like
he's a safety guy. WRS.
No, I'm not. I don't have any arguments about him. I'm saying, what craft are we looking at?
We're looking at a rescue. We're looking at a rescue craft.
An RS boat.
Hey, you're gonna see in a second. It's gonna show up and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I see what's about to happen." Just give.
Yeah, this is really exciting, Zach.
Hold on. Let's finish our discussion while this happens.
I'm distracted. I have a plan. But anyways, go ahead.
I'm gonna make the point that like attaching it to 2 D-rings at a minimum is pretty smart, and I think attaching to 3 is really awesome. I think that attaching to a frame, what happens is when you pull on the frame, sometimes the frame will give a little bit within the boat, and that won't move the boat. And I've seen that happen before, where we use a frame, and all we're doing is shifting the frame.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
So I'm not a big fan.
I have definitely seen that. For wraps, I'm not as big a fan of using the frame. For perches, I think it works better because all the weight's sitting in the boat, and you're pulling on the frame, and the frame doesn't move as much. When it's wrapped in an angle,
depends on the perch. I've done the frames for perches, but when you're pulling on the frame, you're also pulling on D-rings. Don't forget.
Yeah, but you're pulling on a lot of D-rings, and
like, not how many D-rings. How many D-rings is your frame attached to?
At least 6.
Oh, come on, you're full of it. You probably
3 on each side.
Depends on your boat. A lot of people have just four D-rings attached.
If you're talking about a little creek frame, yeah, but if you're talking about a gearboat frame, 4 is not enough.
So anyway, I think there's some problems.
The other thing is this is a rescue boat. This is what I was thinking. Zach,
relax.
This is a way look at that thing. That D-ring was way better manufactured than most D-rings we say. And I'll bet you that I will bet you this. I will bet you I don't know for sure, but I'll bet you the wing boats, like they take a lot more to blow off their D-rings than it takes to blow off the SOTARs and the Hypalon boats. But it'd be interesting to test them all out.
I'm definitely, when I'm doing it, I understand the differences between all the boats.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to choose the D-ring. I'm going to be like, oh man, insert brand here. Those boats suck. Let's be really careful with, those D-rings. Whereas if I'm using a wing or like a big SOTAR patch or a Moravias are bomber.
Yeah, Moravias. Yep.
I'm like, let's go. Let's dance.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree. The Moravia one, I would be much more likely to do a 2-point on a Moravia than I would on a Hypalon boat. So, but I can also just go around the tube anywhere on a Moravia, so I don't even have to worry about that, and it's way faster.
Your whole tube thing, you can't.
I'll beat you 9 out of 10 times, Zach. I'll have it set up way faster than you, and then I can take it down, and then I can undo it way faster on the other side, get that stuff put away, and we can keep going.
Hey, so watch this. So they have this thwart hooked up.
Oh God.
And they're just pulling, and actually, at the beginning we can skip. You can just keep watching it. They end up messing up the rope. They're at like 5 kilonewtons right now.
There's some. Yeah, this is interesting. Is what did they have the thwart inflated to? They have inflated the proper PSI.
I don't know, Aaron. You can pick this apart.
There's a lot of variables involved with this.
All right.
And I don't know what kilonewtons means, so you got to translate that to English, please.
Okay, I'll tell you. One person pulling really, 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 really hard, who's really buffed out, can almost do 1 kilonewton. That's like Hulk Hogan could pull a kilonewton.
Wait, the rope broke? What?
Hey, I mean, they're pulling hard. I don't know.
Which rope broke? Which rope? Go back. Was it
It's some of the rope. Or not. I don't want to focus on what part of the rope.
Yeah, because I don't even think the right part of the rope failed.
I think it was my guess, and there was already some issue with the rope,
Yeah,
and it just like compounded. I don't want to get into that. I'm surprised the rope broke, for sure. And they're doing some sort of 25-1 or whatever it is.
Well, then you know what you look at what they're using to like connect to the rope. They're using one of those metal claws that like dig in more, and I bet it messed up the rope. Yeah.
We have some people telling us, yeah. I mean, you can, in general, if you're a one person pulling by yourself, you can typically pull your weight. That's a rule of thumb. And so a kilonewton is hard to pull. Like most people aren't 225 pounds. I don't think I can pull a kilonewton though. It depends on the rope.
Isn't it 2.2 pounds per
2.24? Isn't it 2.24 pounds in a newton or something?
Pounds per newton, right?
Yeah. So
should it be, if it's 2.2 pounds per kilonewton, 1,000 kilonewtons, should that be 2,250 pounds?
I don't know. Hey, it's verified. I don't want to. Do I have to do math for you? 2 people told us. We'll call it good enough. 2 people having the answer is like having 2 D rings. We're backed up, so we're good.
Yeah, no. 10 kilo. How many kilonewtons did they say? 10 kilonewtons is a
third person.
They're right.
Chill out, Aaron.
Let me go. They're right. They're totally right.
Hey, Franz, what's up? I'm wearing your hat. Check it out. You see it, right? This is Franz's hat.
There we go.
So anyway, they get the steel cable out, and they're pulling. And I think this looks like PVC to me. So I mean, they're pulling on PVC is not the strongest.
Depends on the denier, right?
I mean, this one's gonna go.
This is scary.
It's scary. Actually, the first time I watched this, I was like,
I'm worried about.
I was kind of like, I was doing this.
Yeah, no, totally.
I don't like watching it.
Yeah, it's like.
But you got this load. It's pretty cool. These new load cells that shows you on the phone. So 10 kilonewtons is like, it's like 10 people pulling. If we're looking at the rule of 12, it would blow a D ring. So Mark's rule of 12s, I mentioned my rule of 18s.
Yeah.
Like
11. So yeah, 11. That's like.
But a 3-to-1 is not a 3-to-1. First of all, a 3-to-1 is not a 3-to-1. It's like a 2.4-to-1, and a 9-to-1 is more like a 5-to-1. When you get all the stuff involved, all the friction and the rope. So I mean, that one blew at 9.
About kilograms, 2.2 pounds per kilogram, not per kilogram.
Oh, that's right.
That's why I was getting all messed up.
All right, good job, Mr. Science.
I was getting all. My brain was like, wait, what's wrong here? Yeah.
So if you're pulling on the rule of 12s on one D ring, you're not within safe working load. But if you have a small angle and you're pulling on 2 D rings, I feel like it's still responsible. Even on rule of 18s, if you're doing a rule of 18, you're still
exactly.
You're really,
whenever you're increasing the forces whenever you have 2 points, though, right? Even if they're close, you're still increasing the force. It's not half.
You are increasing the force. Yeah. So if it's
so you're losing some of the force with the friction in the system, but that's kind of negated by the on the other end, the
depends
angle
what you're doing. But have you been on 3-to-1s where 6 people are pulling?
I was on a 3-to-1s. There were 10 of us pulling.
Yeah, I mean, if 10 people are pulling with 1 kilogram, it's not 10 kilograms of pull. Like the first person has the most power. Once you have the second person, it's like 1.7 kilogram. I mean, kilonewton. So like 10 kilonewton pullers do not pull 10 kilonewtons because there's so much inefficiency as you add people. Like once you get past like 5 or 6 people, more people doesn't help. It's just more people stumbling around.
Why did the second time did it fail at a lower one?
Back. Is it this one?
Yeah, it was a little bit lower. I guess it wasn't that much. It was within the.
I think they're changing, if I remember right, and I'll probably try to put the video in the notes so people can watch this later. I think they're changing the construction. They're changing the direction of pull, I think, and they're changing some of the construction of the D-ring, if I remember right. This is scary to watch. But it's also PVC, right? It looks like PVC to me. So it's the weakest D rings.
We don't know the PVC is the weakest D-rings.
Oh, it's the weakest D rings. I'm gonna tell
We
you.
know it's the material that degrades the fastest from UV.
It's a fact. Write it down. PVC
Really?
is the weakest D rings.
Have you? Is that the ones that you've had fail for you, Zach?
I mean, I had a bunch of PVC boats fail, but it wasn't because they're PVC. It's because the manufacturer of the boat improperly manufactured the D rings, and they kept popping. Like we were popping them left. You could pull them off with your hands if you twisted them just right. You could just be like, boop. They did a bad job of manufacturing.
So are you saying that airboats D rings pop off easier than other companies because they're PVC?
Oh, that's interesting. When I think that airboats are attached better to the boats because they don't just glue them to the outside. So if you're looking at like a PVC, like a Vanguard or Rocky Mountain, they're just gluing them or doing some process to them that isn't strong compared to other things. The way air puts them inside the fabric and attaches them, they're more bomber.
Are you saying that you're saying that look at they've got cool shaped D rings too. Are you saying that the Hypalon are going to be stronger? You're saying like an NRS boat's going to do better. An NRS Hypalon boat will do better than an NRS PVC boat. And
I'm gonna
based upon what?
Okay, let me start over. Start over. I'm telling you my opinion based on my experience around these boats, and I could be wrong. PVC is going to be the worst, in part because it has the porous construction. It's the weakest fabric, and it's going to degrade the fastest. Like a 5-year-old PVC is going to be kind of scary to me.
But it's all about the glue between the two, Zach, and that's covered up. That's super covered up. It's not like we're talking about it's going to rip a hole in it. I agree. It's going to be if you're like stabbing with a knife. Totally agree.
The PVC boats I've experienced with. I'm not talking about air because that's a whole different thing. The PVC boats, the ones that are made in China that I'm experienced with, the glue starts coming undone after some number of years. So like it's a fact. And I've pulled D-rings. I have pulled D-rings off of PVC boats now that I think about it, but not in a river pulling ropes, like I think on a trailer or something. Like I had to replace a bunch of D-rings on a boat because I can't remember what it was, but I have done a bunch of PVC repair. I've
seen a lot of Hypalon D-rings. Remember we used to tow boats out on the reservoir?
Oh yeah.
I've seen a lot of the Hypalon D-rings pulled off by that.
Yeah. And that can be super heavy loads when you're pulling on the reservoir like that. So that makes sense.
But I think, Zach, I think the biggest variable, there's the glue variable, and there's how they construct the actual D-ring.
Like like how many layers of fabric?
The Sotar ones, I've seen half of it pull out a lot, where one piece of the material just pulls out, versus the Hypalon ones, the whole thing pops off. Like they fail in different manners.
I think that there were some years, and this is just an opinion. This isn't fact, so please don't yell at me, people. But I think there are some years of Sotar manufacturing where they were not correctly making D-rings. And a lot of D-rings were popping, just like the D-ring was popping out.
What years do you think that's true?
I can't remember. I don't want to get held to anything, but I have some experience with this personally, having owned a bunch of Sotar boats where D-rings were popping. I think they fixed it. I don't know for sure. And I know the old Sotars did great, but they changed something in how they manufactured D-rings, and they started popping like crazy.
Yeah, the old style D-ring was a lot different. When you look at those old boats, the D-ring style was a different D-ring.
Yeah, something changed. I'm looking at a wing D-ring right now. It's pretty solid. Like I mean, I do have one wing D-ring that has popped though. I can't remember how he popped it, but I do have one boat with a broken D-ring right now.
It would be nice to get an idea of like comparing them. It's too bad they're just not a bunch of boats sitting around that people wanted to just yank.
I mean, someday when I have like time to do the channel and more money, it would be cool to have a warehouse where we can have the stuff and start breaking these things and test them it'd be cool to do a video live, like let's break this and see what happens and learn from it. But I'm gonna make my generalization now, Aaron. According to the poll, you're definitely always right. So everyone, take it or leave my opinion here, but I'm gonna give you my opinion about D-rings. Older PVC and older Hypalon boats pretty likely to fail on a D-ring. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in those D-rings. I'd be really careful with them. Newer Hypalon and newer PVC boats, I feel better about. And then above that, like I feel really good about Air, Moravia, Sotar, Wing. I feel like I could really, especially if they're newer, I could really yard on them pretty good and feel nice about it. Like my guess is if you did that test on a Moravia, you'd get to like, I'd be really curious to see that in Moravia. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how it'd even fail. My guess is you get to 25 kilonewtons, and how and it's a lot of force. I mean, it'd be destructive when it fails. So we got on a major tangent here, Aaron.
That's great. Let's go. We got some more comments too. And
Okay, but I just want to get back to the point of this, and we'll get to the comments. What we're talking about here is whether we should attach to D-rings because D-rings fail. And your cute little attach to the tube thing, awesome. If you can attach a tube, more power to you. I think attaching the frame, it sounds really good in theory. I think in practicality, it's not as easy as everybody thinks because it's hard to get a solid attachment. The frame moves. I wouldn't teach that because I've seen it go wrong. And you have to really understand and have experience before you just attach it to a frame. You can waste a lot of time and the rope might move up and down the whole frame things. I feel like best practices, we should all be learning how to attach to 2 D-rings. And it's something anybody can do. All boats have D-rings. And if you're attached to 2 and one pops, you're still attached to one. It's not going to fire back and hurt somebody. And you're not going to break 2 at the exact same moment.
But that's
and on top of that, you should make sure you have webbing lengths that are long enough to minimize that angle. That's going to really help. That's my opinion on this.
Okay, agree. Now I got a couple of questions for you.
Shoot.
On your Rogue River boats that you run down there, how easy is it to tie off to D-rings in the back of the boat if it were to wrap? Don't you use those D-rings and have like webbing tied off to them? So you've got your bags tied off to them and you've got the frame tied off to them as well?
Oh, we have tons, Aaron. We have tons of D-rings. You should see all the D-rings I put on those boats.
Okay, but not yours then.
No. I don't want to hear about the people's because I think what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah,
like,
but
when I see the boats, I'm like,
Zach, we were just talking about we want something that works for everyone, something that's simple, something that's consistent.
Yeah.
Zach, with your method, you're asking everyone else to change their ways and have everyone have way more D-rings on their raft.
Because you can even with other people's boats, you can still do it. It's not that hard.
But
you need to have the length.
Zach,
you have to have a lot of webbing.
You have to have a lot of webbing because the D-rings are farther apart. And the other problem is a lot of times those D-rings are being used for other things. And so do you loosen the D-ring from the frame? Because if you don't loosen the D-ring that's going to the frame, then you're really yanking on the D-ring in a weird angle. And so you got to loosen on the frame. Which do you really want to loosen the D-ring on the frame when your boat's wrapped?
It doesn't matter.
No, that's not a good idea.
No, just loosen a little bit. Fine. You can get the webbing in there. It's not a big deal. But I'll tell you what I've done a few times in that case. I've done 3-point anchors where I go 2 D-rings in a frame.
Oh, and I was gonna mention that I think a D-ring in a frame is a good solution, or 2 D-rings in a frame.
1 D-ring in the frame. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I think if you just pull on the frame, every time I've done it, we just move the frame.
Yeah, no. I think just pulling on the frame when it's up at an angle.
And then when you move the frame, and then when you get the boat off finally, then you have a disaster because everything's on weird in place, and you got to like figure out how to move everything back. It's a mess.
I think a couple of things there. First of all, you got to look at how you're rigging your frame to your boat when that happens, and rig your frame well. Second of all, I'm much more into using the frame when the boat's perched. I think that works well. When the boat's perched, because then all the weight's down.
Why not use the D-rings? Like when they're perched, the loads aren't even that big. Just use the D-rings when it's perched.
You got to undo your straps. You got to undo your straps. Think about the back of a boat. Most commercial boats, they're all got webbing going to everything, and the other. But I've got one more question on this since we're ranting on this for so long.
All right.
How did they ever decide on 3? How did 3 points become the gold standard?
What do you want it to be 4?
Or 2? Why 3?
Well, I think that.
Did anyone calculate it, or just like seems like a good idea?
I think the problem with 3. I'm gonna tell you the only problem I have with 3.
The problem with
3 is people don't have enough webbing to do 3. and then they do 3 and their angle's too large, and it's the same as doing 2.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So I
it's
don't.
hard, and let's be honest, it's hard to get to 3 D-rings that are and still be able to pull from where you want to pull from, right? If you do 3, a lot of times it ends up your pole's more in the middle of the raft. You want to be up on the end. You can't get to the one that's underwater. Ideally, you go on the 3 on the end, but then you need to be on the one underwater. Yeah.
I think if you can get 3, it's nice to do. It's a nice to have. I think teaching 3 is a good idea. If you can do 3, you can do 2. You know, like let's teach something that's harder so that you really learn the easier thing, right? Like if you just taught 2, they might forget. If you taught 2 and 3, once they've done 3, it's like they can definitely do 2. And I think sometimes like what happens is, again, we're like Swiftwater instructors. They have to teach the things they know and they're good at, and that's, you know, they love teaching ropes and knots and fancy technical things. And so instead of like, let's go in the water and pull swimmers out, no, let's do 3, let's do 4, let's do a Tyrolean traverse. And so I think sometimes they get a little too nerdy. But so it's a lot of information there. I think 2, everybody should know how to do that. That should be a base boating standard. 3 is sure nice to have.
I'm gonna say, Zach, you've convinced me that it's worth. I always taught the 3, but talked about the problems with it and would say 2 works. But I think if teaching it going forward, I would focus more on the 2. And I just think, like make sure they have the 2 down really well.
Yeah.
You know, of that thing. But I still emphasize go around the 2. Just go around the 2.
Back to that.
Well, and the way I have my flip line set up too. I have my flip line set up so it's got a water knot on each end and a little loop, so I can, you know, so it clips together. So I just put one through and then clip it back together.
Yeah, I know that. I teach that too. I've been teaching that a lot actually, but with let's not get into that because that's a whole other subject. I think 3 is nice too. Like if you are in one of those PVC boats and you're like, oh man, those 2 D-rings are weak, like throwing in one more is kind of nice, you know. So for me, as somebody like you and I are lucky because we have a lot of experience with a lot of different types of boats and a lot of wraps. So I'll go look at a wrap and be like, okay, let's do this, and pull that way and we're off. You'll be like, deflate some tubes and we're going to get to camp. But when we're teaching people they're new, they don't have that experience. And so they don't know always, like they don't look at a boat and just know those D-rings are weak. Mm-hmm. And so teaching the 3 is maybe a good thing, because then if they go on 3 weak D-rings, it's going to go. Right. And so like I pull off some like nasty boats. That's when I'll actually do 2 D-rings in a frame because I know the frame's not going to blow. Like if I'm worried about blowing a D-ring, I'll throw a 3rd frame on there just as like, this is my backup when if 1 or 2 or both of those.
The frame's not going to come flying at you.
Yeah. So it's like a safety device, or like do 2, 1 off the frame, 1 off a thing, 1 off a D-ring. But like if it's a weak, like if it's an old Riken or something, I'm just like, those D-rings are sketchy. So knowing the 3 for that's important. But I think that for teaching boaters, they should all know the 2 because they might be the ones that get stuck and somebody on the boat has to do it. But in rescue, that's when you would learn the 3. So like a base skill is the 2. And then once you take your like super rescue and you become rescue Ron, that's when you learn the 3 and blah, blah, blah.
I kind of agree that it's like this is the minimal safety knowledge you need to like really take your own boat down. You need to be able to put an anchor on your boat. Yeah, totally.
Cool. So since I was right here, Aaron, I think you need to vote for me in the poll. Like you have to.
Like I've been voting for you the whole time.
Looks like Stitch. Looks like Stitch ripped down the PVC D-ring. Yeah, I think I saw that too. Oh yeah, do you guys know the How Not To channel? How Not To. It was this channel. It's like How Not To Slackline. It started off that way, and they like break things all the time. It'd be cool, Josh. I would love to work with them. They're pretty cool. It's expensive. Like, let's get a bunch of D-rings, go break them. We'd have to get all the manufacturers to send us. I don't know. That'd be cool to do. We should see that as a long-term goal for into the same thing, because they have like Aaron, this YouTube channel. They have all the hydraulic pumps and all the measuring devices. So they're just like breaking carabiners all the time. And they did a collaborative thing with Rafting Magazine, measuring the forces in paddling, where they hooked a little measurement device up to boats and they paddle forward, paddle back, use different paddles.
Oh, wow.
And compared it, which is pretty interesting.
Don't you have one of those measuring devices too? Don't you have like one of those like $600 pieces of
Yeah.
equipment?
No, they're $800. Here, hold on, check it out. I have 2 of them because I want to do this.
Weren't they not properly calibrated? Like you're getting different answers
Yeah.
from each one when you first.
So what happened? They're super expensive, and I was going to do a bunch of stuff with this for the channel, but we were doing a bunch of tests, and they just didn't make sense. The numbers, we were doing a 3-to-1 and putting them in different places, and they just didn't make sense. And then we connected them to each other and pulled, and they said different things. These are $800 each. So I need to fix that before but they're on my thing. I have plans to do a bunch of like, how much does a 3-to-1 do? How much does a 2-to-1 do? What if I use this rope? What if I use that rope? But I have to figure out how to calibrate them correctly. Okay. How about to train people to think from simple to complex? This isn't options. Yeah, I think that's super smart.
I agree with the premise, Dan. I would just throw in there like start by going around the tube.
Oh Jesus! Come on, Aaron.
It is simpler. Yeah.
I need it. I should. Oh, man. Yeah. I want to get into this. I'm not even going to address this. All right, Jeffrey. It is a super guide hat. Yes, I'm very proud of it. Thank you, Franz, for making this. D-ring and switch fails at 1,000 pounds depending on the angle of force, depending on the backing to prevent holes in tubes. Backing fails for the. Oh, cool. 1,000 pounds. So how many newtons is that? How many kilonewtons is that? That's like 4 kilonewtons, right? If I do the math right, is that 4 kilonewtons? Aaron, you're on mute.
Divide by 2.2 and then multiply by 10.
So 4.5 kilonewtons. So what I'm hearing is that Sotar's D-rings fail at 4.5 kilonewtons, and the ones that we just watched failed at 10. Does that seem right?
Probably. I don't trust my math in my head these days with it. It's funny when, as an engineer, you used to have to do all this switching back and forth in units, and I've definitely gotten worse at it, over the years. I don't remember how to do it quite as well as I used to. Yeah.
I mean, so what I'm hearing is that if four 220-pound people pull on a Sotar D-ring, it's going to pop. That's what I'm hearing. So on a Sotar boat, if that's the case, I probably wouldn't go to D-rings. Like sounds like they're purposefully failing to protect the material, and so I probably would avoid. Then that's good to know. Like I'll probably now pull on frames and tubes.
Wait, sorry, go around the tube. Is that what you're saying, Zach?
Yeah, I mean with the Sotar, I mean, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah. I learned something new. Thanks, Heidi. All right, let's we got a couple quick things, and we got to I know you got to go today. We got 2 videos. We're gonna watch them, and we'll call this a show. So this one I thought you would like because it's in the Grand Canyon and has cool music. I want to fast forward a little bit. Do you see this one? We're moving on. This is Rescue in the Grand Canyon. And we're on a motor rig. And this boat's perched on the rocks. When I heard Rescue in the Grand Canyon, I thought, like, actually a rescue. This is just helping these people get unstuck off the rocks. Aaron, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like you have a responsibility to pull over on the Grand Canyon to help somebody get unstuck off the rocks here?
I'm not that excited to see a motor rig come help me if I'm in an oar boat.
Oh, the other way around. You're like, oh, this is embarrassing. A bunch of tourists are going to help me.
No, I mean is that hold on, you got to get down. I got to finish the show. Okay. More I mean is like some of those motor guys know what they're doing with those small rocks and others don't. So
yeah,
I would be. Oh, that's interesting. Is that a there?
Let me pause it here because this is really. They check this out. Hold on, let's see if we can get this.
Oh,
they're yelling something. Do you see what they've done?
They've built there.
A 3-to-1,
and they're pulling from the boat.
Yeah. So they're they put an anchor in those rocks, and they were using a Z rig to try to pull themselves off.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. That's kind of cool because when the boat comes off, you can still hold tension really easily, and stay in the boat.
I think the way the anchor said it would just come off the rock.
Oh.
So one of the guys, I'm guessing, on a motorboat, do you have like a swamper, somebody just hanging out?
Yeah, that's the swamper. Yeah.
And she has all this rescue stuff. I think I watched one of this video. I realized that maybe isn't a bunch of rescue stuff. That's what they use to, like, all the anchors they use to chalk and rocks to stop at camp.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you pull into certain side canyons, like here at Havasu, they're going to use them to chalk up. Yeah, like here, and then upstream, if you pull in upstream at Macadamivo, they'll use them in certain other ones. Zach, what did it say about you, Zach, in the second raft?
Oh, so there's also, like, at the same time, you have to watch the whole video. Like, a private boater is like stuck on a cliff, and another raft is pulling over to help a private boater get stuck, like, off a cliff.
Yeah, is that actually person stuck, or are they just hiking up Havasu?
No, it's somebody. It turns out somebody's like on a cliff. I'm not gonna watch the whole video, but another raft is helping them. So
it looks crazy shallow there. Like they shouldn't be in the raft making the boat heavier. like it's ankle deep, isn't it? I mean, look at her. She's like, I mean, this is, oh my gosh. This is really interesting.
So I have a bunch of comments. You're right. They shouldn't be in the boat. Do you see how their rope around the boat is like super loose?
Oh, your favorite danger ropes.
Just classic perimeter line, super loose to catch somebody on. And it just seems like they could deflate tubes here and it would come right off. Like, deflate the tubes.
Are you serious or joking?
No, when I get stuck on, that's my move. When I'm perched, like if they were wrapped, I'm a little more hesitant to deflate tubes. But when you're perched like this, just deflate the tubes and get out and pull the boat through, right?
Yeah, I don't even think they need to deflate tubes. I think if you just, you know how we used to go on the upstream end, you just put your back into it and put your hip underneath the boat and lift up, and just do like a squat type of thing using your legs, you'd get it off. I mean, like she's not a big person, and she's yanking on it and getting it to move, and they're still sitting in the boat. If this got out of the boat and pulled a little bit, I bet it would just slide right over the rocks. I mean, I'm guessing here, it's easy to pay like Monday morning, here and just like, Monday morning quarterback. Yeah, do that. But it does seem bizarre to me, and it doesn't seem like it should be that difficult. And I feel like they may have made things worse because it looks like they got stuck and they tried to pull it down instead of kind of pushing it back around and getting back into the channel. So.
Yeah. So as she walked up, she said, "Hey guys, deflate your tubes." And I think she does here in a second, deflate their tubes.
Oh yeah. Oh, did she?
But this is also an example of like a swiftwater rescue teacher taught them about a 3-to-1, and that's the solution. That's the solution to their problem.
Do you really think that the swiftwater teacher told them to do a 3-to-1 from inside their raft though? I've never seen that before. That's amazing.
They were taught that technique.
And the way they're pulling through, they're not even pulling together.
Well, and those big angles, see how they're pulling, there's that big angle with the rope, really decreases the effective. You have to pull in line with the system. It's like probably like a 1.8 to 1 right now.
They got it off. Yeah.
But what
it looks like, I want to say, it looks like she must have worked some other places before working down there. She knows what she's doing, getting boats off rocks.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, hold my beer. I'm gonna take care of this."
Yeah, no, like not all the swampers know much about getting boats off rocks. The ones who just work down there don't. So she's probably worked someplace else before.
But the other thing, and do you really want all that gear attached to your PFD? Like, there's so many.
Yeah, she just put it on for doing that, for helping them. And she was and she had that ready to go because the way they're pulling in down there, they need to be chalking up into the wall. So she was just ready to hop off with the bow line, go up, and be putting pieces in all over the place. She's not wearing that normally. That's not like her normal, like, I go downstream with all the safety gear on me. No. She was ready to hop off, and then they saw that, and I bet she went up to help, and she already had it on there. She's like, well, I'm just gonna leave it on. So where's this other person that you're saying is like?
So there's something about like Zach rescues man. I don't know if they show this in the video. Where is this part? Here we go. It's right. I think there's somebody up on the cliffs over here.
Oh,
Zach
well,
rescues
upstream.
second man off the ledge. So one of the other guides, is like rescuing somebody. It's just like a full-on guide rescue. So and then I didn't watch. I just kind of watched the end of a little bit of the end. But the commercial guests are so stoked on the guides, right? Like, look at them. They're rescuing people left and right.
Yeah, totally.
I thought it was an interesting video. Yeah, and then here she is jumping off and chalking up.
Yeah. So that's why she doesn't normally have all that stuff on her. Like, this is just one of the few spots where they use all that.
That's a pretty cool job. You just get to hang out on the boat all day, and then you just get to jump off and tie the boat off.
It actually is. I've got to
rescue people.
It's a really fun job being a swamper. You don't have to worry about like running the boat into rocks or anything like that. And then the only thing is like sometimes like you got to pound the sand stake in certain places, and it's a huge sand stake, and everyone's watching you and waiting for you. So that's like your moment of pressure. You don't want to screw it up and hit a rock in there or something like that. So it's like right now, this is classic.
You have 10 minutes to work a day.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do dishes and work and stuff, but you have like, it's like once a day you have this one high pressure job where everybody's watching you and they want you to get it done as fast as you can.
Yeah, I'll say this. On motor trips in general, particularly if you're a swamper, when you get to camp, you're working the entire time you're in camp. Just go, because there's so few guides, so many guests
on the motor trips.
Yeah. On the motor trips. Because you're like, there's like, like you might have 3 guides for 28 people, like depending, you can be that few. And so you're go. And then you get on the boat and you're just like, cool, let's get to hang out. And then the guy just like, just motoring down. So you put your work in, but the work's more on shore, like managing hikes. Ooh, cool video, huh?
Oh yeah. We're about to see some real action.
Yeah, man. This looks like some top notch videoing here. Whoa. By the way, that's Brantley, by the way, the woman who's taking your class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
hey, but I'm gonna put a link to this in the notes. Everybody, you guys, this is Aaron's video, his channel. You can like and subscribe his stuff. It really helps Aaron out. It'd be super cool. And before we get into this, this is where I agree with Franz here. I think they're Swiftwater. They just taken a class, and the more like a lot of times, what did you learn in the class? How to do a Z-rig, right? Like it just seems like you're given a tool. Let's apply this tool as much as we can. I think that's what happens a lot is people like in a Swiftwater class, we talked about this a bunch, should be more about on river rescues, how to rescue people. And what people want to learn is a Z-rig because it's like super manly, pulleys and stuff and tools and like brute force. And sometimes if that's what the end result is, you use that tool for everything. And I think that's what caused a lot of problems. Just want to share that. And you're paused right now, Aaron.
I love that making their life as complicated as possible. That's great.
And I'll follow you.
So now we're gonna finish up the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn the music down.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to provide context that there's some good music happening this whole time. So if you do,
oh my God, really? Are we going through this?
If you do watch Aaron's video, the nice bonus is the killer background music that I'm now gonna turn down.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, I will say, like, you've been doing all these videos, and so I have really never done river videos, and so this is my first attempt at it. I'm gonna say it's hard. You make it look easy. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll go get some video. I got my GoPro now.
And you did get a GoPro.
Oh yeah. This is GoPro. This is GoPro.
I've been telling you forever to get a GoPro, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I got a GoPro. I started trying to use it, and it's like, where do you put it? Would you put it on your helmet? I mean, this is all different. This is in rafting, but like even with the rafting too, like I noticed it seems like when people put on their helmet, it moves around a lot. So I thought it'd be better on like my front here on my chest. But
did you get like a chest GoPro mount, or did you just?
No, I just tucked it into the life jacket.
Yeah, I think it's a good view. I think it's a good view. So what's the deal here? You guys hiked in to some random creek.
Yeah. We hiked in, and like you saw, like the day before it was probably running like 3,000 CFS or something like that. And then everything
dropped that fast?
Yeah, everything drops really fast. It's kind of like, remember the McLeod up in Northern California where it's all volcanic? The volcanic's so porous, it doesn't hold water. The water it drops really fast. And there's short drainages too, but stuff just drops out really fast. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is about the extent of whitewater where I live at the moment. This is high quality whitewater. So,
I mean, I think I see an eddy right there, so that's pretty cool.
yeah, and there's rocks to avoid. It's pretty exciting stuff, right?
Looks like lots of strainers to watch out for.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing actually. I feel like I'm doing a good job catching A's at the bottom. You know, making sure we're running good. You know, good tight spacing there. Kind of like what you're doing this morning with your overhead view. I'm kind of pulling out into the current, and she comes down.
So here's my questions for you. You're pack rafting, which I don't mean to sound like it's dumb when I say those words. Like,
Zach, you own more pack rafts than I do.
I own one.
No, you own a whole fleet of them for your.
Oh, those are back rafts. Those are inflatable kayaks. They're not There's inflatable kayaks that are shaped like an inflatable kayak, and there's pack rafts that are shaped like a pointy inner tube. They're different things. I only own one of the pointy inner tubes. So you're pack rafting, which I say with all due respect. Are you guys wearing helmets?
I don't think we wore them today. I wore them on another stretch that was harder, but I knew this was going to be like this, where there's like, you just get stuck. You can't flip over today if you tried. So no, we did not wear helmets today, but on another stretch we were wearing helmets, but it was much more intense.
And how far was the hike in?
I don't know, 40 minutes. I forget.
So weight was a factor. Like you didn't want to.
Oh yeah,
super light.
Yeah, totally. And how do you get a boat here? I mean, that's a whole another problem, right?
A raft, you mean?
Yeah, anything like that.
Without hiking it in, right?
Well, no, I mean to the island. I mean, actually just getting it to the island.
Yeah. Like, how do you ship it to Kauai in general? Like, where a pack raft, you just throw it in your handbag, throw it in your purse next to your iPhone, and you're good.
Yeah, exactly. See, there's rocks here. This is like it could use a little more water. But
so this is solid class 4 for a pack rafter right here. There should be a different pack rafter scale, right? Because there's so much nuance between the whole class 2 is like 4 grades for pack rafters, right? It's like canoeing. There should be more like canoes. Like taking a canoe is really hard, or supping. Like class 2 should actually have like 4 grades within it, and class 3 should have 4 grades within it, because it's a lot harder. And then, how did you guys pump these up?
I don't know. I don't know if I had it at this time. I think we just used a little bag, the inflation bag, But I've since brought my what's that thing? The little pump up, the K pump. I brought a K pump out, which I use now, so you can get better. You can get them more firm, which is nice. So that the little bag, and then they have a little thing where you blow it up, which worked pretty well, but it was kind of annoying because then it wasn't as pumped up as you wanted.
And at the end, was it a road, or did you have to hike out?
Yeah, I had to hike back out. Yeah, if you kept going down, you go to this nasty reservoir. So, I mean, it's nice though. It's nice. There's like 12 little rapids in like a couple miles.
Do you call that a rapid right there? Is that one of the 12?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Cool. I'm just not sure what your definition of rapid.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's a drop that you got to do some maneuvering. That was a smaller one. That wasn't quite as, more of them are like this, where you're like just going through some rocks and kind of working your way around. I was desperate for whitewater, so I was super excited.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No.
What happens if there's an emergency? This seems really remote to me. Like I'm picturing like big walls, jungle, no hiking out. What happens if you break a leg? What's your solution here?
What's interesting is they helicopter rescue people all over the place here. People get stuck on the mountains everywhere. So you could probably just get a helicopter called in. I mean,
so your solution is call a helicopter in?
No, I'm just saying in worst case scenario, that's possible.
But do you have a phone? Does your phone work? Did you bring a device? Do you have a satellite device?
Nah, no, I'm not that worried about it.
Okay, so what you're saying is if you call a helicopter in worst case scenario, but you can't call a helicopter in.
No, one of us would have. Well, we might have cell service down there. I don't know exactly if we have cell service there or we don't. We just hike up a ridge a little ways. Yeah, I don't. Zach, this is like back in the day when we used to just run rivers without all that equipment. You can.
Oh no, I know. I mean, think about Giant Gap. All the times we did Giant Gap, like we maybe didn't even have a first aid kit with us. There's no helicopters flying in the Giant Gap. Like how exposed we were on like all those runs. But
yeah.
in the modern era, I mean, don't you kind of wish you had, especially you're older, you're a parent, people depend on you. Does that change things?
I guess a little bit, but I mean, Zach, I just look at like when we were working Cherry Creek trips, we had a guy that got hurt and we just left him on the side of the river and then called the helicopter and the helicopter came in and got him.
You just left him on the side of the river and kept going.
Yeah, because the water was dropped. We had a group of 20. What are we going to do? Have everyone stuck out there? The helicopter was going to take everyone out. One of his buddies actually stayed out there with him. So we left a buddy with him and then we boogied out. And then like a kayaker came by and he got out before us and called the helicopter. So the helicopter flew in.
Oh, you guys didn't even call your own helicopter. You just left them aside the river and waited for some like stoned kayaker to call the helicopter in for you.
It was great. Well, he got out before us. Danny called it for us. So thanks, Danny. Yeah, I don't, and like the helicopter comes in, but that poor guy who was sitting there with them, he had to hike out. So then Adam went back up to get him to hike him back out, which was kind of a bummer for that guy because he had to wait. But what are you going to do? Have your whole group stay there all day, then have everyone stuck out there overnight? That doesn't make sense. That's not a good solution.
I mean, leaving an injured guest by themselves along the river in a big, deep canyon. Yeah, I mean, I think
we left him with his buddy.
I feel better about it, but I mean, I think I would do the same thing, but do you see some issues with that?
What's the better option? What would you do instead?
Leave just one boat behind with a guide and just put people in the other boats and get down?
No, we didn't have space. They were full boats, and so we would have had to leave more people behind. We would have had to leave two more guests behind, and to leave a boat behind, and then that boat would have been stuck up there, which would have been a mess.
Yeah, with your guest who has a broken leg, that would have been fine. Like I know it's an inconvenience to have the boat stuck up there. But then you gotta get the other people out. That's a whole nother ballgame.
So
the helicopter just magically came, and you guys were like, "Cool, we're gonna go have beers at the."
We didn't even wait for the helicopter. We just like, hey, yeah, we're like, he's gonna be the helicopter.
So this is what you did. You went rafting. You broke somebody's leg. You left him on the river. You all went down to take out, packed up your stuff. Some stoner kayaker came down, called the helicopter. You went out drinking, and somehow he's magically fine. Is that how it all worked?
Yeah, you're missing part of it. Well, first of all, he actually dislocated his shoulder as well, and we reduced the shoulder
at the same time.
Yeah, he reduced the. Yeah, I think that's what made him fall out. Actually, his friends actually didn't seem to care that much about him either. They were just like, yeah, he should, like almost implied that he shouldn't have come on the trip. Like they didn't seem like we actually. When they got the other guy out, we brought him back to camp, and they were just all partying that day. It was like a bachelor party, and they were just like, yeah, man, they didn't seem to care. So. No one. I don't think anyone was really willing to have their trip ruined because he got hurt. Kind of sounds awful, like awful friend.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, yeah, it does sound awful. Like,
but it worked out.
We don't want to have less. We don't want to have less fun today because our friend broke his leg. So we're just gonna leave him and hope a stoner kayaker comes down and calls a helicopter to get him out. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, exactly. You got it right, Zach. Yeah, we got it. Oh, look, we got more comments.
Are you ready to move on from this topipic, Aaron? You're like,
you can.
Oh, I mean, speaking of this topic.
So, any feedback on how I can do a better job with the videoing?
No, you did great.
Really?
I mean, the music is better than my music I ever do. I mean, videos are hard.
Yeah, they are. That's the one thing I'd say I come across. It is challenging.
Which GoPro is it?
8.
Yeah, it's affordable. I think mounting it there was smart. I think any video you do, you should try to cut the length in half. Because you want
I left that one long because I thought we wanted more video to discuss on the show. Otherwise, I would have had it shorter.
No, I finished the discussion in like 3 minutes. It was the Cherry Creek thing that took the second 2/3 of it. Like, no, I think any video I do, I make it and I try to cut it in half. Because as the person who was there who took the video, you want to show everything. But the viewers don't want to see everything.
That's
so then if you cut it in half, you get down to like the best parts. And it forces you to like choose quality.
But I was worried about that too. If I cut it too much, like when we have discussions about stuff, a lot of times it's nice to see the entrance. It's nice to see how people run. It's nice to see what they do next. Like that's the difference between, like, it's one thing to do it for the general public. It's another thing if you're doing anything.
Oh, for the discussions. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, so it's for the show.
That's
Having
I
it-
really made it more because no one else is going to look at it.
having it long
no
for the
one
show
else
is having it long for the show is good because I can just fast forward if I
Yeah.
want to. I can just pause and be like, we're done.
Yeah.
But no, you're about to get a bunch of subscribers. Like we just asked people to subscribe. You're gonna have
Yeah,
like
to my YouTube channel with one video on it.
you're gonna have like 8 subscribers and like 2 likes here recently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the what is it called? It's like the the call your bump, the gear garage bump. Gonna get the gear garage bump here.
All right, well, let's finish this up. You have a lot
Yeah.
going on in the background. A video on difficulty between crafts, stuff on rafts. And think about with hard shells. That's a tough topic. Maybe we'll try to take that on one week. Like
I think
class,
that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd
class
be fun too.
5. I mean, it goes from pack rafts and sups up to creature crafts. You know, because like class 5 in a kayak is class 2 plop and drop in a creature craft. So, you know, I think like discussing that is important. It's a hard topic though. It's a really hard topic. So I don't know. I'll try to think of how we can address it. But I mean, the scales are so general. Yeah. I think what does help is that they are kind of simple in a lot of ways. And there's a common language we all have. We all have a common vocabulary. I think that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed, Noel. Yeah.
Wasn't Noel on that trip where they had to camp out overnight?
I think so.
When it was really big?
Yeah, I think so.
I did 10 Mile Creek when it was pretty low, but I think Noel, if I remember right, you had to camp out there, right? Aaron, did I do that with you? Did we do South Fork Hill together?
No, we didn't do it together. No, I did it. I only did it once, and I wasn't with you guys, and I was on the trip where they camped out.
You were on the camp out trip? Oh, no.
No, I was not.
Moving from class 2 is way harder for rafts and kayaks. Yeah, it's even harder for sups and what are those things called? Pack rafts.
See, I think the opposite. I think moving to class 4 in kayaking is crazy scary, and moving to class 4 in rafts was way easier. I mean,
2 to 4 is way harder on rafts than kayaks for me. Yeah, it depends on you. It depends on you, I think. I don't know. The class rating system, yeah, I mean it does. But the problem is it's sort of like the thing we were talking about earlier with webbing and knots and things. It's really like it's simple. Everybody knows it. We're not going to change everybody. So like, even though we can make it 10 or 20% better, it works. We have it. We all know it. We're probably not going to change. I mean, it'd be cool to have one. It'd be cool to have like a fun one for pack rafts, class 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, because class 2 is there's a lot of variability for when you're a pack raft. When you're in a hard shell, it's pretty minuscule. Yep, I was there. Oh yeah, 2 minus and 2 plus. I forgot about that. And there's 2 minus minus and 2 plus plus. So we have it. We have 2 minus minus, 2 minus, 2, 2 plus, and 2 plus plus.
and then 3 minus minus, 3 minus, 3.
Yeah.
You could get
There
a
we
lot
go.
that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of those rapids you were doing on that, I would say, are like 2 minus minus, but there were a couple 2 minuses, and I saw 1 2 plus. It was almost 2 plus plus.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, almost 2 plus plus. 18 trainees, dude. How do you share 1 power bar, man? And that dates you. Who eats power bars anymore? Like that was back in the power bar days. Man, mixed berry was my favorite. Did you cut 1 power bar into 20 pieces? How'd that go? It's a great XKCD comic. I think, yeah, Nick, I think links work here.
I tried to link something once and it didn't work, so I'm not sure. It seems to depend. I feel like maybe we can. I'm not sure if everyone else can.
I don't know what
you can't-
XKCD is, and I don't exactly know what we're talking about at this point.
Oh, it's a comic. It's a funny comic, actually. Yeah, they're funny.
It's called like a paper one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the comics we had at Davis. Like, remember that one made that comic? It's kind of like of that type of humor, I would say. It's similar to that, but more general. So.
Yeah, and hey, no, we should have you come on as a guest and tell the story. I just starred Noel. I don't know what that means. You got starred Noel. I think that it was a way I was told I could just add people. Oh wait, show. I feel like I can add people from. I'll have to learn how to do that.
So you could give people gold stars now. That's like that's like the gold. That's like the gold D-ring right there.
I just started him. XK is what it is. It's about competing standards. Huh. Yeah, no, let's get you on the show. Would love to hear the story. Love to see your smiling face again. Boy, if we had photos of that, we show photos of it, it'd be pretty cool. But that was back before we took cameras with us and video cameras, so I doubt. But if you had photos, it'd be pretty funny. I'm trying to think. I have a Larry Gunther trip. Aaron, you were there. Speaking of Larry Gunther epic, we did Upper Norfolk Smith. And so like it's this long drive in the middle of nowhere. And it's a Smith in Oregon that flows into California. The first time we did it. And just driving, and we get to what we think is the beginning of a put-in hike. And we start like going down the steep cliff, and we're lowering our boats on ropes, and we get to the bottom, and it's not the right river. It's just you were there, right, Aaron? It was just like
and kayaker Laura lost her boat at one point. She comes down, she's like, I don't know where my boat went. Just went flying down the hill.
Bottom.
It, right? And so
we probably spent 45 minutes going down the steep hill, and we get to it, and it's flowing the wrong way, and it's just this like creek full of logs. There was an epic, and it was like, what do we do here? What do we do? And we guessed that this creek flowed into the creek that we wanted, into the Smith River that we wanted to. So Larry and Laura hiked their boats back up that, because they're like, no way, we're out. And they hiked their boats back up, and they drove our shuttle for us, which was great, because that shuttle would have been epic. And then we just sort of like paddled and dragged our boats down this like tree creek until we finally landed in the river, and then it turned out to be fine. But that was scary when the creek was going the wrong way. We're like, wow, that's not supposed to be going that way. I wonder where this goes. Larry Gunther we had a lot of fun trips with Larry Gunther. Well, Aaron, I think we should wrap this one up. What do you think? Any last minute words, anything to add before we put an end to this, or do I have to end it because your audio is gonna be on mute for a while?
You could probably best off ending it rather than me ending it. Yeah, I think that's the best idea here.
That I should end it?
Yes, please do. But it was, hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in. It was a fun episode, and I'll see you guys next week. But yeah, you go ahead and you do the finish off. And I got something to say to you afterwards, though.
That's funny. I have one. Okay, before I do that, I have one question for you. Hold on, let's cover one more thing, and then we'll end it.
Okay.